I never thought love could feel like a trap until today. My name is Ethan, and I've always believed in honesty, hard work, and the girl I wanted to spend my life with. Her name is Lila, and for 3 years, I thought we were building something real. I thought I knew her. I thought I could trust her. I'll pick you up at 7, I said this morning, adjusting my tie. She smiled, the way she always did, the kind of smile that made the world feel like it had a heartbeat just for me. See you tonight, Ethan, she said, then kissed me lightly on the cheek. I left for work with a spring in my step, completely blind to the trap waiting in the shadows. My boss, Mr. Harrington, is powerful, ruthlessly so. People fear him, and I obey him. But I thought he respected me, trusted me to handle the accounting reports without trouble. How wrong I was. Around noon, I stayed late in the office, double-checking a report. I thought the silence would soothe me, but it didn't. That's when I heard it, a soft laugh, unmistakably Lila's, echoing from the executive wing. Are you serious? She said. Yes, Lila. I told you it would work. No one has to know. I froze. That voice. That laugh. My heart skipped a beat. I crept closer to the slightly open door. The voices were intimate, too intimate. You're lying, you promised me, she whispered. I never promised anything but results. Harrington's voice was cold, calculated. Everything in me shattered. I couldn't breathe. I pressed my ear closer, my stomach twisting. I had always trusted her. I had planned a future with her. And now I heard her choosing him. I stormed in. Lila. How could you? They jumped apart. Lila's face froze, but not with guilt. Not even shame. Just cold, empty eyes. What? Ethan, she said, her voice smooth, detached. Don't what, Ethan? Don't act like you didn't betray me. I yelled, voice shaking. I trusted you. I loved you. She looked at me like I was a stranger. Ethan. I chose what I wanted. You're sweet, but I wanted security, power. I wanted security? I laughed bitterly. You wanted him. Not security. You wanted my boss, the man I've been working for, the man I trusted. Exactly, she said, as if my rage amused her. I wanted what you can't give. Don't be pathetic. I stared, stunned. I couldn't find words. My chest ached like someone had driven a knife straight through it. You're leaving, just like that? I asked, voice barely above a whisper. Yes, she said, her tone final. I've packed my things. I won't waste another second. You'll understand someday, or maybe not. I ran after her as she grabbed her bag. Lila. Don't go. Please. I can fix anything. We can. No, Ethan. You can't, she snapped, walking out with a calmness that made my stomach turn. I slammed my hand against the wall, breathing hard. The office suddenly felt empty, cold, and cruel. Later that evening, still trembling, I returned home to collect my things. My phone buzzed. It was a message from HR. Ethan, meet Mr. Harrington in the main office immediately. It's urgent. My heart sank. I knew it was trouble before I even got there. Ethan, you're being let go, Harrington said before I could speak. You mishandled the financial report. The mistake cost the company thousands. Pack your desk. Wait. I double-checked the numbers. I didn't. Sorry. Rules are rules, he interrupted, voice sharp, merciless. You're done. I left the office, humiliation and rage twisting together in my chest. Betrayal had been doubled today, love and livelihood, both ripped away. Rain started pouring as I walked aimlessly through the city streets, the cold drops soaking through my coat, matching the numbness in my heart. I trusted you, all of you, I muttered to myself. Somewhere down the street, headlights blazed. I didn't even notice the approaching car until it was too late. A sudden impact threw me to the asphalt. Pain exploded through my body. My ears rang. I tasted blood. My vision blurred. And there, lying on the wet street, I couldn't stop seeing her face, the indifferent, merciless smile that had destroyed my world. Why did you do this? I whispered, coughing. I loved you. I loved you. A scream tore through my chest, but no one came. My body ached in ways I didn't know were possible. Everything seemed to move in slow motion. Rain, lights, shouting voices, all distorted. I tried to crawl toward the sidewalk, toward safety, but my strength failed. My mind replayed every moment, her laughter, Harrington's smirk, the office door, my broken heart. I just wanted a chance, one chance, I gasped, thinking of the life I could have had. I wanted to go back, to warn myself, to stop her, to stop him, to stop everything. The city's lights blurred, a spinning whirl of red and yellow. Pain, fear, and regret washed over me in tidal waves. I thought of my mother, of the small apartment I called home, of my dreams that felt so close yesterday and so far now. Please, just one more chance. I'll do it right. I'll be strong. I felt my eyelids droop. Darkness tugged at me like a cruel friend, pulling me under. My heartbeat slowed. The rain felt like fire against my skin, my lungs begging for air I couldn't draw. Don't let them win. I'll come back, somehow, I whispered, my voice weak, fading. Everything went black, but in that darkness, a single thought burned brighter than any pain. If I could live again, if I could redo this life, I would. I would not be weak. I would not be betrayed. I would not let them destroy me. And with that desperate hope, I let go, my body giving in to the cold, cruel night. I woke up to the sound of my alarm, blinking against the sunlight streaming through the blinds. Something felt off. My head hurt, and my body ached like I'd been hit by a truck. I rubbed my eyes and froze. I was in my old apartment. The one I had 3 years ago. My room looked the same, my old desk, my worn-out laptop, even the posters I had forgotten about. No, this can't be, I muttered, sitting up. A voice inside my head screamed with disbelief. You're dead. You died on the street last night. You can't be here. I stumbled to the mirror. My reflection stared back, the same me, younger, untouched by betrayal yet. I touched my face. Warm. Real. This isn't possible, I whispered. My hands shook. It's a second chance. I ran to the kitchen, grabbing my phone. No messages about funerals, no calls from friends checking if I was okay. Nothing. This is real. I'm alive, I said aloud, the words trembling. I can fix everything. I can stop it. I can. The memory of her face flashed in my mind. Layla. That cold, merciless smile. Harrington. The betrayal. The fire of rage lit inside me, hotter than fear. I threw my phone on the table. I won't be weak this time. I swear. I won't be weak. I tried to calm myself, but panic bubbled up. I needed to know how much time I had. I rushed to my laptop, checking emails, messages, and schedules. Everything was back to 3 years ago. Every mistake unmade. Every betrayal unwritten. I sank into my chair, breathing hard. I can't mess this up. I won't. Not again. My phone buzzed with a text. It was Lila. Hey, dinner tonight? I made reservations. I froze. The memory of her leaving me burned in my chest. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I typed. Deleted. Typed again. What do I say? What do I do? I whispered to myself. A part of me wanted to warn her, to confront her, to stop her from ever choosing him. Another part whispered, no. Patience. Watch. Wait. I closed my eyes and breathed deeply. Patience. I need a plan. I need control. At work, I kept my head down. Harrington smiled at me, completely unaware of what I had remembered. Ethan, double-check the numbers for the Newbridge account. I want perfection, he said, leaning back in his chair. Yes, sir, I replied, my voice calm. Inside, I burned with fury. I remembered how he treated me, how he framed me. Not this time. Later, Lila walked past my desk. She didn't see me, lost in her own world. I watched her, studying her movements, the way she laughed at little jokes, the way her hair fell across her shoulder. She doesn't even know what's coming, I muttered under my breath. I spent the rest of the day quietly observing, noting small details I had ignored before. I started keeping mental notes, her patterns, Harrington's tendencies, the office hierarchy. Knowledge was power, and this time I would wield it. That evening, my old friend Jake called. Ethan. Man, it's been a while. Want to grab a drink? I hesitated, thinking about my new plan. Not tonight. Maybe another time. Jake laughed. All right, man. But don't be a stranger. Life's too short. I hung up and stared at the ceiling. Life is too short. And mine nearly ended because I trusted the wrong people. I pulled out my notebook. This time, I would write everything down. Every step, every opportunity, every potential betrayal. Every mistake I had made would be corrected. Every path to ruin avoided. I scribbled furiously. Step 1, rebuild myself. Step 2, observe. Step 3, act. No emotion. No rash moves. Only results. A knock at the door startled me. I opened it to see Lila smiling, holding a bag of groceries. Hi. Ethan, she said casually. I thought I'd drop by. Just thought you might need these. I forced a smile. Thanks. Layla. That's thoughtful of you. Inside, my heart thumped wildly. I remembered everything she had done. Betrayal. Lies. Coldness. Yet her presence still had power over me. Did you hear from Harrington today? She asked, innocently. I laughed softly, hiding my inner storm. Yeah. Just the usual office chaos. She tilted her head. You seem different. More focused. More serious. Maybe I'm just learning to pay attention, I said carefully, my mind racing. She has no idea what's coming. She thinks this is the same Ethan she used to play with. We made small talk, but every word I spoke was calculated. Every smile, every nod, every laugh, controlled. I let her think she had power, but inside, I was already 3 steps ahead. After she left, I sat back down, my fingers trembling slightly. I have to be smart. I have to be stronger. I can't let the past happen again. Not now. Not ever. I looked at the city outside my window. Rain began falling, just like that night. I didn't care about the cold, the wet, or the loneliness. I only cared about preparation. Observation. Strategy. Revenge, if it came to that. I whispered into the darkness, I'll rise, higher than ever before. I'll watch them crumble. And I'll never be helpless again. I spent the night reviewing every memory of that final day before my death. Every conversation, every look, every lie, etched into my mind with precision. I know what you want, I said to myself. And I'll take it all, in my own time. Sleep didn't come easily. I was haunted by flashes of the street, the car, the pain, the betrayal. But unlike last time, I didn't feel powerless. I felt ready. The first step was clear, patience. The second, observation. The third, transformation. I would not repeat the mistakes of my past self. And as I drifted into a restless sleep, I made a vow, this time, I won't just survive. I will rise. And when I do, they'll finally understand what it means to lose everything. I woke up that morning with a clear purpose. I wasn't just Ethan anymore, the weak, betrayed man from last year. I was someone sharper, someone who had seen the abyss and survived. I reminded myself of that every time I saw Lila's smile in my memory. At work, I kept my head down. Harrington called me into his office. Ethan, I need you to handle the Peterson file. Accuracy is critical, he said, eyes narrowing. Yes, sir, I replied, voice steady. Inside, I laughed silently. Accuracy. They'll see I was always capable. Later, Lila passed my desk again. She looked radiant as always, chatting with a coworker about lunch. I forced a smile as she glanced in my direction. She didn't suspect anything. Hey, Ethan, she said, her voice light. Want to grab coffee later? Sure, I said calmly, careful to hide the storm inside me. I'd like that. As she walked away, I muttered under my breath, don't think this is about love anymore. It's about watching, learning, surviving. I started keeping track of every detail, her schedule, her friends, her moods. Harrington's habits, his weaknesses, the way he treated people beneath him. Every scrap of information was a weapon, and I would use it when the time was right. During lunch, I met Jake at our usual cafe. Man, you look different, he said, noticing my calm, collected demeanor. What's going on? Just focusing, I said. Life teaches you lessons, Jake. You either learn or you fail. He frowned. Sounds heavy, man. Everything okay with, you know? I nodded, keeping my voice casual. Yeah. Everything's fine. I'm just seeing things more clearly. Jake didn't press further. Good. I couldn't let anyone suspect that I remembered the future. Not yet. Back at the office, Lila found a reason to stop by my desk. You've been quiet today, she said. Something bothering you? I leaned back, smiling softly. Just thinking. A lot on my mind. Nothing serious. She raised an eyebrow, skeptical, but didn't push further. I made small talk, asking about her day, complimenting her ideas in meetings, laughing when appropriate. Every smile, every word, was part of my disguise. She had no idea that behind my calm facade, I was planning, calculating, preparing. After work, I went to a quiet cafe and met an old college friend, Mark. Ethan. It's been ages, he said. How's life treating you? Better than it did, but I'm planning something, I replied cautiously. I need advice. He leaned forward, curious. Advice? About what? Business, I said. I want to start something on my own. Something solid. I need help figuring out where to start. Mark smiled. I might have a few contacts. Small investors, local opportunities. Nothing huge yet, but it's a start. I nodded, feeling a spark of hope. That's exactly what I need. Help me make it work, and I won't forget it. Later, walking home in the rain, I thought about Lila. She was chasing money and power, and I was learning to build both for myself, but differently. I wasn't doing this for her or for revenge, not yet. I was doing it for me, for my survival, for my chance to rewrite everything. When I got home, I saw a message from her. Dinner tonight? I want to talk. I stared at the screen. My pulse quickened. Part of me wanted to confront her, to scream at her for everything. But I knew better. I typed slowly, carefully. Sure. Let's meet. At dinner, she tried to charm me, laughing lightly, telling stories, making small jokes. I listened, nodded, smiled when appropriate. But every laugh, every glance, I catalogued in my mind. Every weakness, every desire. You've changed, Ethan, she said finally. There's something different about you. I smiled, hiding the truth. Maybe I just finally learned to pay attention. She tilted her head, curious. To what? To life, I said softly. To people. To choices. Her expression faltered slightly, but she covered it with a laugh. You always were dramatic. I chuckled, but inside, I burned. Yes. Dramatic. Because I lived the consequences of betrayal. Because I'm learning how to never be weak again. After dinner, she walked me to the car. I'm glad we're talking again, she said, her voice soft. I missed this. Us. I forced a gentle smile. Me too. But this isn't us anymore. This is the mask I wear until I'm ready. When she drove off, I leaned against the hood of the car, staring at the empty street. Step 1, patience. Step 2, observe. Step 3, act, I whispered to myself. Every word, every smile, every laugh, it's all a part of the plan. That night, I reviewed everything in my apartment. My notebooks were full of observations, strategies, and reminders. I had lists of opportunities, contacts, financial paths, and weaknesses I could exploit. Lila and Harrington were just pieces in a much larger puzzle. I won't be caught off guard this time, I said aloud. I will rise. And when I do, they won't even recognize me. They'll never know what hit them. I remembered the cold streets, the car, the pain from my previous death. The memory fueled me, sharpened me, made me colder in my resolve. I imagined Lila's face when she realized that the Ethan she had toyed with, the one she thought weak, was gone. In his place stood someone stronger, smarter, and untouchable. I'll do this carefully, I murmured. No mistakes. No emotion. Control, strategy, execution. Everything in its time. I thought about my friend Mark and the small opportunities he had offered. That was my first move, building a life independent of Harrington and Lila, creating my own power. I would need patience. I would need cunning. And I would need every lesson I had learned from my past self. I smiled to myself, a sharp, determined smile. They think this is a game, but I'm the one writing the rules now. And they have no idea what's coming. Sleep didn't come easily. I replayed every moment of the past, every conversation, every betrayal. Every detail was a clue, every memory a weapon. And as my eyes finally closed, I whispered into the dark, this time, I won't just survive. I'll rebuild. I'll rise. And when the time comes, I'll make sure they pay, not out of hate, but out of inevitability. I've seen the future, and now I control it. The day came like a storm I had already predicted. I watched her from my desk as Lila flirted with Harrington across the office, laughing at things I knew she would never have laughed at with me. I felt a pang, but it was different this time, controlled, sharpened, focused. She approached my desk with a casual smile. Ethan, she said softly. I wanted to see you before tonight. I nodded, my expression calm. Of course, Lila. What's on your mind? She bit her lip, nervous for the first time. I think you know I've been distant. I don't feel the same way anymore. I looked at her, my voice steady, even amused. I know. You know, she asked, eyes wide. Yes. I know what's been going on between you and Harrington, I said. And I know why you're leaving me. She paled, stepping back. Ethan. No. Don't, I interrupted softly. Don't try to lie. I'm done being blind. Her hands shook slightly as she adjusted her bag. I wanted security. I wanted stability. You couldn't give me what he could. I laughed, a quiet, bitter sound. Security? Stability? Lila, you wanted power. You wanted control. You wanted him. Not stability. You wanted him. Her face fell. You're cold. You've changed. I had to, I said. Because if I hadn't, I'd be the same man I was before, the one you left. The one you betrayed. She looked at me, hurt and fear flickering in her eyes. Ethan. I didn't. I mean, I thought I was doing the right thing. You thought wrong, I said calmly. And this time, I'm not begging. I'm not pleading. I'm not weak. She opened her mouth, then closed it, words failing her. She reached for my hand, but I pulled back gently. Don't. Not this time. You've made your choice. She stammered, tears welling up. Ethan, I shook my head. Save it. I won't hear excuses, and I won't take apologies. You've made your bed. Her shoulders slumped. She nodded silently, then turned and walked away, her footsteps echoing like a death knell. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. I had watched the first step of her downfall, and I would watch the rest unfold in my own time. I returned to my desk, but the office didn't feel the same. Harrington's presence loomed larger now, unaware that I was no longer the timid, obedient employee he had controlled. I opened my notebook and wrote, Step 1, survive. Step 2, observe. Step 3, rebuild. Harrington appeared behind me, clapping his hands lightly. Ethan, handling the Peterson account yet? Yes, sir, I replied, my tone neutral, measured. Watch me play the game your way, but on my terms. You've changed, he said. More confident. More ambitious. Good. I like that in an employee. I smiled faintly. Thank you, sir. I've learned a lot. He walked away, oblivious to the fire simmering beneath my calm exterior. I watched him go, then whispered under my breath, You'll see soon enough, Harrington. You'll see. After work, I met with Mark again. Ethan, your plan is ambitious, he said, spreading out the papers with potential investors. It's risky, but I think you can pull it off. I nodded, studying the numbers, the contacts, the opportunities. We'll start small, but strategic. Step by step. Every move calculated. He raised an eyebrow. You're serious, huh? Not messing around this time? I've never been more serious, I said. This isn't just about business. It's about correcting mistakes. About making sure I don't get blindsided again. He laughed softly. I like that. I've never seen you so focused. Walking home later, I passed the office where Lila and Harrington were still laughing, still close. I felt no pang of longing. Only strategy. Only patience. Only the memory of betrayal fueling me forward. At my apartment, I reviewed everything I had done so far, my notes, my contacts, my financial plans. Every detail, every weakness, every opportunity. I had created a roadmap to power, and it felt intoxicating. A knock at the door startled me. I opened it to find Lila, umbrella dripping water onto the floor. "Ethan. I need to talk," she said, voice soft, tentative. I stepped aside, letting her in, keeping my expression neutral. "All right. Sit." She hesitated, then sat on the edge of the couch. I can't stop thinking about you. About us. About what we had. I thought leaving, it would make me happy. But it didn't. I leaned back, studying her, letting her feel the weight of her choices. "And now?" I asked quietly. "Now. I feel empty." "I thought I'd be fine, but I'm not," she admitted, tears threatening. "I'm not here to fix that," I said calmly. "I'm not the man you left behind." She looked down, ashamed. "I know I made a mistake. But, can we try again?" I shook my head, slow, deliberate. "No. You had your chance. You chose power over love. You chose him. And now you face the consequences." Her hands trembled. "Ethan. Please." I said no, I repeated, my voice firm. "I'm done being your crutch. I'm done being the man who bends for your convenience. I'm done being weak." She stared at me, disbelief flashing across her face. You've changed. You're not the Ethan I knew." I smiled faintly, almost sad. "Good. I'm not. I had to learn. I had to grow. You taught me that the hard way." Tears rolled down her cheeks. She looked like she wanted to collapse, but she held herself together, the pride she always carried now cracking. I see that now," she whispered. I never should have left you." I leaned forward, voice quiet but cold. "And I never will be the same again. I survived. I'm stronger. And now, I'll rise." She stood, leaving my apartment without another word. I watched her go, feeling nothing but resolve. The betrayal that once crippled me was now a weapon, a sharpened edge guiding my every move. I spent the night planning. Step 1 had been surviving the betrayal a second time. Step 2 was observation. Step 3 was action. I would act when the time was right, and when I did, there would be no mercy. Not for her. Not for Harrington. I opened my notebook, writing in careful, deliberate handwriting, rebuild. Strengthen. Wait. Strike. No emotion. Only precision. I smiled to myself. The fire inside was no longer anger, it was controlled, strategic, unstoppable. I had learned patience. I had learned control. And most importantly, I had learned how to never be weak again. Lying in bed that night, I whispered to the darkness, "They think they've won. They think I'm powerless. But I am reborn. And soon, they will regret the day they betrayed me." Sleep came eventually, but dreams of betrayal haunted me, flashes of rain, asphalt, broken glass, and laughter. I didn't flinch. I didn't fear. I only remembered, planned, and sharpened myself further. Tomorrow would be another day of pretending. Smiles, laughs, small talk. But behind it, I would grow stronger, wiser, untouchable. And one day, I would rise above them all, not in spite of my pain, but because of it. By now, my business was beginning to take shape. I still wore the mask of the same Ethan Lila thought she knew, but behind that calm exterior, I was moving faster, smarter, and with more precision than I ever had before. One afternoon, I received a call from Mark. "Ethan, investors are impressed. They want to meet you personally," he said. "You're building something solid." "I'll be there," I replied, my voice steady. "Step by step. Patience first, patience always." I hung up and glanced at my reflection in the office window. Lila was across the street, laughing with Harrington as if the world belonged to them. That laughter used to cut me open. Now it sharpened my focus. Later, I ran into her at a business networking event. She didn't recognize me immediately. "Ethan," she said, hesitation in her voice. "Yes," I replied with a polite nod. "She thinks I'm still the same man." You look different." "Confident. Powerful," she said, eyes wide. "I've just learned a few lessons," I said lightly, smiling. "Lessons you never wanted to teach me." She tried to charm me, her old tactics, laughter, flirtation, subtle compliments. I responded, but carefully. Every word I spoke, every smile I gave, was measured. "So, your business is growing?" she asked. "It's starting," I said. "Slowly, but it's sustainable." "That's important." Her eyes flicked down briefly, catching the edge of my notes on the table. You've planned everything?" I shrugged. "You have to, in this world. Otherwise, people make plans for you, and you end up lost." Her smile faltered for a moment, revealing a flash of fear. She quickly masked it. "You always did overthink, Ethan." "Perhaps," I said, leaning in slightly. "Or perhaps I just learned the hard way." She didn't reply. She only stared, a subtle tension growing around her. I could feel it, the first crack in the world she had built with Harrington. "Good. Let it begin." After the event, I met with my investors. "Your projections are solid, Ethan," one of them said. "Your approach is unique." "Thank you," I said, keeping my tone calm. "I've learned that patience and planning matter more than luck." When I left, I noticed Lila across the street, waiting in her car. She watched me, curiosity and something else in her gaze. Regret? Maybe. Fear? Definitely. I caught her eye briefly and smiled faintly. She looked away quickly, heart racing, though I doubted she realized it. At home, I reviewed my plans. Every day, I grew stronger financially and mentally. I contacted small investors, studied market trends, and kept my old notebooks updated. Each page was a step closer to reclaiming what I had lost, but this time on my terms. The next morning, I returned to work, maintaining the facade of normalcy. Harrington called me into his office. "Ethan, I hear your business venture is moving quickly," he said. "I hope you're careful. Risk can ruin you as easily as it can make you." "I appreciate the concern," I said lightly. "I've learned to calculate risks now. I don't leave things to chance." He raised an eyebrow, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Good. Ambition is fine, Ethan, as long as it doesn't outgrow wisdom." I left his office, my heart steady. I'm beyond wisdom dictated by others. Now I define my own rules. Layla approached my desk after lunch. She hesitated, watching me organize files with methodical precision. You're different," she said softly. I looked up, smiled politely. "I suppose I've had to change." Her expression darkened slightly. "You always forgive too easily. Or, maybe you just pretend." "Pretend?" I asked, my voice calm but pointed. "Yes. Pretend you're okay, that you're normal. But I see it, Ethan. You're not the same man you were." I leaned back in my chair, studying her. You're right. I'm not. I won't be weak again. And neither will I be manipulated. Not by you. Not by anyone. She looked down, embarrassed, a shadow of shame crossing her features. I didn't think you'd survive the betrayal the way you have. I thought you'd crumble. You misjudged me, I said softly. You always did. And that's your mistake. Later that evening, I attended another business meeting with Mark. Ethan, your growth is impressive, Mark said. I think this is just the beginning. You're building something real. I intend to, I replied. It's about more than money. It's about power, stability, and control. Mark nodded. I like your focus. You're different now. You've grown. Yes, I said, staring at the city lights outside. I've grown because I had to. Because the world showed me who I really am, and what I can survive. The next day, I watched as Lila's relationship with Harrington began to show cracks. He was controlling, petty, and increasingly volatile. Her laughter no longer came naturally, it was forced, strained. Every glance between them was tense. Every conversation carried undercurrents of frustration. I leaned against the office window, observing quietly. Good. Let them feel the first tremors of their perfect world. Let them realize that power and money aren't enough to keep happiness intact. Later, I met Lila in the elevator. She tried to speak casually, but her words stumbled. Ethan, do you think you'll always be like this? Like what? I asked, raising an eyebrow. Cold. Calculated. Unmoved. I smiled faintly. I'm not unmoved. I just don't let emotion control me anymore. I've learned that the hard way. Her silence said more than words ever could. She knew I had changed, and she feared it. Walking home, I passed the street where she had once walked away from me, where the betrayal had begun. I stopped and looked down at the wet pavement. Rain began falling, light at first, then harder. I closed my eyes. I'll rise, I whispered. I'll rebuild. And when the time comes, they'll see what it truly means to lose everything. Not just money, not just love, but control. They'll see what it feels like to be powerless. At home, I reviewed my progress, small investments, loyal contacts, and financial growth. Lila and Harrington were trapped in a gilded cage of their own making. Each mistake they made, each flaw they revealed, strengthened my position. I called Mark. Set up a meeting with the next round of investors. I want to accelerate growth. Step by step. Strategic. Careful. Calculated. Already ahead of you, he said. I have 3 leads lined up. You're moving faster than I expected. Good, I said. No distractions. No mistakes. I've learned the cost of weakness. That night, I stood by the window, watching the city lights blur with rain. Lila's laughter echoed in my memory, but it no longer hurt. Instead, it reminded me why I had to be strong, why I had to survive, and why I had to rise above. I whispered into the darkness, this isn't revenge yet. This isn't anger. This is preparation. They think they're untouchable. They're not. And when the time comes, they'll realize it. Sleep came slowly, dreams filled with fragments of betrayal, rain, asphalt, and shattered trust. But instead of fear, I felt clarity. Instead of despair, I felt power. The first cracks in their world were showing. And I was ready to watch them widen. Later that evening, I attended another business meeting with Mark. Ethan, your growth is impressive, Mark said. I think this is just the beginning. You're building something real. I intend to, I replied. It's about more than money. It's about power, stability, and control. Mark nodded. I like your focus. You're different now. You've grown. Yes, I said, staring at the city lights outside. I've grown because I had to. Because the world showed me who I really am, and what I can survive. The next day, I watched as Lila's relationship with Harrington began to show cracks. He was controlling, petty, and increasingly volatile. Her laughter no longer came naturally, it was forced, strained. Every glance between them was tense. Every conversation carried undercurrents of frustration. I leaned against the office window, observing quietly. Good. Let them feel the first tremors of their perfect world. Let them realize that power and money aren't enough to keep happiness intact. Later, I met Lila in the elevator. She tried to speak casually, but her words stumbled. Ethan, do you think you'll always be like this? Like what? I asked, raising an eyebrow. Cold. Calculated. Unmoved. I smiled faintly. I'm not unmoved. I just don't let emotion control me anymore. I've learned that the hard way. Her silence said more than words ever could. She knew I had changed, and she feared it. Walking home, I passed the street where she had once walked away from me, where the betrayal had begun. I stopped and looked down at the wet pavement. Rain began falling, light at first, then harder. I closed my eyes. I'll rise, I whispered. I'll rebuild. And when the time comes, they'll see what it truly means to lose everything. Not just money, not just love, but control. They'll see what it feels like to be powerless. At home, I reviewed my progress, small investments, loyal contacts, and financial growth. Lila and Harrington were trapped in a gilded cage of their own making. Each mistake they made, each flaw they revealed, strengthened my position. I called Mark. Set up a meeting with the next round of investors. I want to accelerate growth. Step by step. Strategic. Careful. Calculated. Already ahead of you, he said. I have 3 leads lined up. You're moving faster than I expected. Good, I said. No distractions. No mistakes. I've learned the cost of weakness. That night, I stood by the window, watching the city lights blur with rain. Lila's laughter echoed in my memory, but it no longer hurt. Instead, it reminded me why I had to be strong, why I had to survive, and why I had to rise above. I whispered into the darkness, this isn't revenge yet. This isn't anger. This is preparation. They think they're untouchable. They're not. And when the time comes, they'll realize it. Sleep came slowly, dreams filled with fragments of betrayal, rain, asphalt, and shattered trust. But instead of fear, I felt clarity. Instead of despair, I felt power. The first cracks in their world were showing. And I was ready to watch them widen. I opened my notebook. I wrote, Layla's regret is inevitable. Harrington's control is weakening. Their world will crack, and I will remain unbroken. Patience. Observation. Precision. I thought about the street where I had nearly died. The rain, the pain, the betrayal. Those memories were no longer wounds, they were weapons. I could wield them to sharpen my focus, to guide my steps, to remind me why I would never be weak again. My phone buzzed. It was Lila, one final time. Ethan, please. I was wrong. I need your help. I can't live like this. I stared at it, unread. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Her plea, coming too late, was meaningless. I whispered under my breath, regret is a powerful teacher. You'll feel every lesson. You'll understand the cost of betrayal, but it's not for me to fix. It's for you to live. Sleep came, but I didn't dream of fear. I dreamed of strategy, of opportunity, of precision. I was no longer the man she abandoned. No longer the man Harrington could control. I was reborn, stronger, unstoppable. Morning came, and I watched as they argued quietly in the office hallway, the veneer of control slipping. Lila's voice trembled with desperation. Harrington's face tightened, every word a command trying to cover his growing frustration. I didn't intervene. I didn't need to. I simply observed. And I smiled. Patience was working. Karma was beginning its slow, inevitable course. That evening, I met Mark. Ethan, your growth is faster than I imagined. You're moving from small investments to significant influence already. People notice. I know, I said calmly. And they will continue to notice. Every action must be deliberate. Every step calculated. He nodded. You're not the same man you were. It's impressive. Yes, I said quietly, staring out at the city. I'm not the same. And they will see what it costs to betray someone who refuses to remain weak. The first signs of regret were manifesting. Lila was trembling, Harrington's control weakening, and I was steady, patient, unstoppable. I whispered to the night, their regret has come too late. And I will rise above it all. I survived betrayal once, I survived death once, and now I control the game. Every step forward, every decision, every calculated move. I am the master of my fate. And they will finally learn that nothing destroys me unless I allow it. By now, the tension in the office was almost tangible. Lila's smiles had vanished, replaced with nervous glances and a constant, strained energy. Harrington's authority was cracking. I could see it in the way his orders faltered and his patience ran thin. And I watched quietly, patiently, letting the pieces fall into place. One afternoon, Lila came to my desk, eyes wide with desperation. Ethan, I need your advice, she said softly, trying to sound casual. I looked at her, calm, neutral. Advice? About what? About Harrington. He's impossible. He's making mistakes, and I don't know what to do. I leaned back in my chair, masking the sharp edge in my mind. He's always been impossible, hasn't he? She swallowed, fidgeting with her pen. I can't handle it. I thought I could, but every day is harder. And I can't keep pretending it's fine. Pretending is the problem, I said softly. You can't fix him. You can't fix the situation you created. You only made it worse by leaving me. She flinched slightly. I know. I see it now. But can't you? I don't know, help me? I shook my head slowly. No. My help comes too late. You need to live with your mistakes. Your regret, that's yours. Not mine to solve. She looked down, shame and fear flickering across her face. You've changed so much. You're cold. Cold? I echoed. No. I'm steady. Calculated. I don't let emotions rule me anymore. You taught me that. And I won't be weak again. Her shoulders slumped. I don't know what to do. Everything is falling apart. Exactly, I said, calm, measured. And now you feel it. That's what happens when you choose power over love. That's what happens when you betray someone who refuses to remain powerless. She tried to speak, but I cut her off. Save your words. There's nothing left to say to me. This is your lesson, and it's happening naturally. Learn it or suffer it. Your choice. She left without another word, and I watched her go, feeling nothing but quiet satisfaction. Patience and observation had done more than I could have hoped. Later, Harrington called me into his office. His usual arrogance was strained, a crack forming in his confident demeanor. "Ethan, there's a problem with the Newbridge account," he said, slamming a folder on the desk. "Mistakes are unacceptable." "How could this happen?" "I double-checked everything, sir," I said evenly. "Perhaps a miscommunication from the team?" His face flushed red. "No. I trusted you. You were supposed to handle this." "I handled it," I replied, my voice calm but firm. "If there's a mistake, it wasn't due to negligence. Perhaps it's time to review the processes instead of blaming individuals." He stared at me, a flicker of fear in his eyes. You're challenging me?" "Not challenging," I said. "Observing. Learning. Adapting." He clenched his fists, struggling to maintain control. "You've changed, Ethan. I see that. But don't think I don't notice. Don't think you can manipulate the system, or me." I smiled faintly. "I'm not manipulating. I'm surviving. And this time, I'm in control." As I left his office, I felt the shift. The cracks were growing. Their world, the one built on lies, power, and betrayal, was beginning to crumble under its own weight. That evening, I met Mark to discuss the next phase of my plan. "Ethan, your growth is accelerating," he said. "People are noticing your influence, your investments. You're moving from small wins to significant control." "Yes," I said calmly. "And that control is intentional. Every move must be precise, calculated, and sustainable. Patience first, strategy always." Mark nodded. "It's impressive. You're not the same man you were. You've evolved." "Good," I said softly. "I had to. Survival demanded it. And now, I am untouchable, at least compared to them." The next morning, Lila came to me again, her expression fraught with tension. "Ethan Harrington, he's losing it," she whispered. "He's making mistakes, embarrassing himself in front of the board. I don't know how to handle it." I leaned back, calm and collected. "That's what happens when the foundation is rotten. You built a world on control and manipulation. It's crumbling. And now you feel it." Tears welled in her eyes. I never thought. I thought I had power, I thought I had control. But I can't manage him anymore. Everything's falling apart." "Exactly," I said softly. "You wanted power and security, but you didn't understand that real strength requires more than money or manipulation. You see it now, too late. That's the lesson you were meant to learn. Longer control." Later that day, I witnessed Harrington losing his temper over minor errors in meetings, employees whispering about his volatility. Lila attempted to mediate, but her efforts only highlighted the tension. The cracks were visible, widening with every interaction. I sat quietly, observing. Patience. Observation. Precision. Let them crumble naturally. Let them feel the consequences of their choices. After work, I met Mark again to finalize the next stage of my business expansion. "Ethan, your influence is expanding faster than I imagined," he said. "Your strategic positioning is solid. People respect your decisions now." "Yes," I said calmly. "Respect comes from competence and consistency. Power grows naturally from those who refuse to be weak. Step by step, calculated." He raised an eyebrow. "You're not the same man you were a few months ago. That fire, it's focused. Controlled. Deadly. Good, I said quietly, staring out the window at the city lights. I survived betrayal once, death once, and now I control the game. Every move, every decision, every calculated action. I am the master of my fate. Later, as I walked home in the rain, I passed the street where everything began, the street where I had almost died. I paused, staring at the asphalt slicked with water, the memories sharp and vivid. The betrayal, the pain, the regret, it all fueled me now, sharpened me, made me unbreakable. I whispered under my breath, patience, observation, precision. They feel the cracks now. They see their world unraveling. And I rise, untouched, unshakable, unstoppable. When I got home, I reviewed my notebooks, my lists, my strategies. Every step was documented, every action planned, every opportunity noted. Lila and Harrington were trapped in their own mistakes, unraveling while I built my empire quietly, methodically, and without hesitation. I picked up my phone. A text from Lila appeared. "Ethan, please. I need you. I can't do this alone." I stared at it, then set the phone down without replying. Regret had arrived too late. I wouldn't intervene. I wouldn't save her. The lesson was hers to endure. I whispered into the darkness, regret comes knocking, but it's always too late. They've built a fragile world, and I've survived its destruction. I've grown. I've evolved. And now, I rise above it all. Sleep came slowly that night, but my dreams were not haunted by fear. They were filled with strategy, opportunity, and vision. I was no longer the man who had been betrayed. I was no longer weak. I was reborn, powerful, and untouchable. The cracks in their world widened each day. Layla's panic and Harrington's frustration were undeniable. Every mistake, every failure, every tremor of regret reinforced the truth. I had survived, I had grown, and I was no longer at the mercy of betrayal. And as I drifted into sleep, I whispered again, the fall has begun. Their world is unraveling. And I will rise above it all, unbroken, unstoppable, inevitable. By now, I could feel it, the air in the office was different. Tension clung to every corner, every word, every glance. Lila no longer tried to hide her panic. Harrington's control was slipping, his arrogance cracking under pressure, and I watched, patient and unshaken, knowing the collapse was only beginning. That morning, Lila approached my desk, her hands shaking slightly as she held a folder. "Ethan, there's trouble," she whispered. "The investors, some of them are reconsidering Harrington's projects. He's making mistakes, and it's costing us." I looked at her, calm, composed. "I see. And how do you feel about that?" Her eyes widened. I feel. I don't know. Terrified. He's angry, volatile, and I can't fix it. I can't keep him under control." "Exactly," I said softly. "That's the consequence of the choices you made. You chose him over me, power over loyalty. And now, you see how fragile your world really is." Tears welled in her eyes. I never wanted it to be like this. I thought it was secure. I thought I could manage him." "You thought wrong," I said firmly. "You underestimated what it means to betray someone who refuses to remain powerless. And now, your world is collapsing. Your regret, it's inevitable." She swallowed hard, struggling to find words. "Ethan, I don't know what to do anymore. I feel trapped." I leaned back in my chair, calm, collected. "You are trapped. That's the lesson. Accept it, or let it consume you." I won't intervene. You'll feel the weight of your choices fully, and it's not my burden to carry. Later, Harrington stormed into my office, slamming the door. Ethan. What is going on with these accounts? This is unacceptable. I trusted you, and you. I handled my responsibilities, I said evenly. The mistakes aren't mine. Perhaps your delegation methods need review. His face flushed red. You dare question me? I'm not questioning, sir. I'm observing and adjusting to reality. You've made errors, and now your foundation is showing its cracks. I won't take the blame for weaknesses that aren't mine. Harrington's eyes narrowed, rage and fear flickering. You've changed. You're different. But don't think I don't notice. Don't think I don't see your growth. Growth is not a crime, I replied softly. Survival is not a crime. Control and preparation are not a crime. You underestimated me, Harrington. That was your first mistake. Your second mistake is underestimating the inevitability of consequences. He shook his head, unable to respond. I left his office quietly, observing the tension. The cracks were spreading, small but undeniable. The first signs of their collapse had arrived. After work, I met Mark to discuss my next moves. Ethan, your influence is expanding faster than I expected, he said. People are noticing your precision, your reliability, your ability to grow strategically. You're no longer just surviving, you're building power. Yes, I said, calm and steady. And that power is intentional. Every move, every decision, every connection, it's deliberate. I have no illusions about speed, only precision. Step by step, I'm rising above those who thought they could control me. He smiled. You're not the same man you were. You've evolved. It's impressive. Good, I said quietly. I had to evolve. I had to. Weakness no longer has a place in my life. And soon, those who betrayed me will see what that truly means. The next day, I walked through the office, observing Lila and Harrington from a distance. Layla's panic was visible in her forced smiles, Harrington's frustration evident in his raised voice and sharp gestures. The world they thought they controlled was slipping through their fingers, and they didn't even realize it yet. During lunch, Lila approached me again. Her hands trembled, a faint sheen of sweat on her forehead. Ethan, it's worse than I thought, she whispered. He's losing investors. Projects are failing. The board is questioning him. I can't stop it. I don't know what to do. I looked at her, calm, patient. And that's exactly how it should feel. That's the cost of betrayal. That's the reality of the choices you made. You wanted power, Lila. You wanted Harrington. And now, you're facing the consequences. She swallowed, tears threatening again. I never imagined. I never thought. Exactly, I said softly. Never thought. That's the point. You thought you were untouchable. That's the lesson. That's what betrayal brings. And now, you feel it. Fully. Her voice trembled. Ethan, please. I need help. I can't manage him. He's falling apart. I said no, I replied firmly. Your mistakes are yours to endure. Your regret is yours to feel. I will not intervene. I will not save you. That lesson, you must learn on your own. She stayed silent, realizing fully for the first time that the man she betrayed was no longer a man who could be controlled, manipulated, or forgiven. That night, I returned home and reviewed my progress. Every investment, every contact, every strategic move had been executed flawlessly. My empire was growing quietly, steadily, and Lila and Harrington's world was collapsing under its own fragility. I picked up my phone. Another message from Lila appeared. Ethan, please. I made a mistake. I need you. I stared at it, unread. I didn't respond. Regret had come too late. I wouldn't intervene. I wouldn't save her. The lesson was hers, and she would have to endure it fully. I whispered into the night, their collapse is inevitable. Regret has arrived too late. I've survived betrayal, survived death, and now I rise above it all. Patient, calculated, unstoppable. Sleep came slowly, but my dreams were not haunted by fear or sadness. They were filled with strategy, opportunity, and precision. I no longer feared betrayal. I no longer feared power. I was reborn, and I was untouchable. The first cracks had widened into visible fissures. Lila's panic, Harrington's frustration, their failing control, it all reinforced the truth. I had survived, I had grown, and I was no longer a man at the mercy of betrayal. Morning came. I watched as Lila struggled to maintain Harrington's fragile authority. Every attempt she made to smooth over mistakes failed. Every word she spoke highlighted the tension. Harrington snapped at minor errors, employees whispered about his instability, and I observed quietly, knowing the collapse was only accelerating. At lunch, Layla approached my desk once more, voice quiet, shaking. Ethan, it's worse, she admitted. Harrington, he's completely unhinged. Investors are pulling out. Projects are failing. I don't know how to fix it. I leaned back, calm, composed. And that's exactly how it should feel. This is the consequence of betrayal. This is the cost of choosing power over loyalty, control over love. This is reality, Layla. Accept it. Feel it. Learn from it, or continue to crumble. Tears streaked her face. I can't believe. I didn't think. I never thought it would come to this. No, I said quietly. You didn't. And now you see. And you will continue to see. Every day. Until your world crumbles completely. And I will continue to rise, unshaken, untouchable, unstoppable. That night, I sat at my window, looking out at the city lights, rain streaking the glass. The first signs of complete collapse were clear. Lila's panic, Harrington's fear, the failing projects, all inevitable, all consequences of their choices. I whispered under my breath, patience, observation, precision. The fall has begun. They see the cracks now, but they cannot stop them. And I rise, unbroken, invincible, inevitable. I closed my notebook, a record of every move, every opportunity, every lesson learned. Lila and Harrington had built a fragile house on betrayal and arrogance, and now it was collapsing under its own weight. I whispered again into the darkness, they will feel every consequence. Every mistake. Every regret. And I will rise above it all. The moment I had been waiting for finally arrived. The office, once a place of control and power for Harrington and Lila, was crumbling. Their mistakes, once minor and overlooked, had escalated into full-blown chaos. And I watched with the patience of a predator, knowing every misstep was karma unfolding exactly as it should. That morning, Lila came to my desk, her eyes wide and frantic. Ethan, it's terrible, she whispered, voice trembling. Harrington, he's lost the Peterson account. The board is furious. Investors are pulling out. We're failing. I looked at her calmly, my voice measured. And how do you feel about that? She swallowed hard, tears threatening. I feel. I don't know. I can't stop it. I can't fix him. Everything is collapsing. Exactly, I said softly. That's the consequence of betrayal. That's what happens when you choose power over loyalty. When you betray someone who refuses to remain powerless, you face this inevitability. Her hands trembled. Ethan, please. I don't know what to do anymore. I feel trapped, helpless. You are trapped, I said firmly. Your regret is yours to feel. I will not intervene. I will not save you. That lesson, it's yours alone. She lowered her gaze, silent, realizing fully that the man she betrayed was no longer someone she could manipulate, charm, or control. Later that afternoon, Harrington stormed into my office, face red, hands shaking. Ethan. This is unacceptable. How could this happen? I trusted you to handle this. I handled everything within my control, sir, I said evenly. Perhaps your delegation methods are flawed. Mistakes are inevitable when leadership is weak. He froze, rage and panic flickering across his face. You dare speak to me this way? I'm not daring, I replied. I'm stating facts. Your empire was built on arrogance, and now it's crumbling because you mismanaged it. I have survived betrayal, survived death, and I am no longer powerless. I am precise, patient, and unstoppable. Harrington's lips tightened, a vein throbbing in his temple. You've changed, Ethan. You're different. But don't think I don't notice. Don't think I don't see your influence growing. I'm not asking for recognition, I said softly. I'm simply observing and acting. Control comes to those who earn it, Harrington, not to those who steal it through manipulation. Your time is ending, and it's only a matter of patience before it collapses completely. He ground his teeth and stormed out, leaving a trail of tension in his wake. I smiled faintly, knowing the first cracks had become fissures. That evening, I met Mark to discuss my next moves. Ethan, your growth is extraordinary, he said. People are noticing your precision, your reliability, your strategic mind. You're no longer just surviving, you're dominating. Yes, I said calmly. And that domination is intentional. Every action is deliberate, every connection calculated. I have no illusions about speed, I focus on precision. Step by step, I rise above those who once thought they could control me. He nodded. You're not the same man you were. The fire, it's focused. Controlled. Deadly. Good, I said quietly. I had to evolve. I had to. Weakness has no place in my life. And soon, those who betrayed me will fully understand what that truly means. The next day, I walked through the office, observing Lila and Harrington. Their world, once a fortress of arrogance, was now a house of cards. Lila's anxiety was palpable, Harrington's authority slipping with every mistake. The collapse had begun in earnest. During lunch, Lila approached me, hands shaking, voice soft. Ethan, it's worse than I imagined, she admitted. Harrington, he's unhinged. Investors are pulling out. Projects are failing. I can't fix it. I don't know how to survive this. I leaned back, calm, deliberate. And that's exactly how it should feel. You wanted power, Lila. You wanted Harrington. You betrayed love for convenience. And now, you're facing the consequences of your choices. Tears streamed down her face. I can't believe. I never thought. I was wrong. Yes, I said softly. You were wrong. And you'll continue to feel it. Every day. Until your world is completely unrecognizable. And I will continue to rise, untouchable, unstoppable. Later, I witnessed Harrington losing control in meetings, employees whispering about his volatility. Lila tried to mediate, but her efforts only highlighted the tension. The cracks were widening, spreading faster than either of them could handle. I sat quietly, observing. Patience. Observation. Precision. Let karma take its course. Let them break under their own weight. After work, I met Mark again. Ethan, your influence is spreading faster than I expected, he said. Your strategic positioning is flawless. People respect your competence. They fear your precision. Yes, I said. Respect comes from competence. Power comes from consistency. Every step must be deliberate, every decision calculated. Weakness has no place. And soon, those who betrayed me will learn that the hard way. Mark smiled. You're not the same man you were. You've evolved. It's impressive. Good, I said quietly. I had to evolve. And now, I am untouchable, at least compared to them. That evening, I received a text from Lila. Ethan, please. I made a mistake. I need you. I stared at it, unread. I didn't respond. Regret had arrived too late. I wouldn't intervene. I wouldn't save her. The lesson was hers to endure fully. I whispered into the darkness, their collapse is inevitable. Regret comes too late. I've survived betrayal, survived death, and now I rise above it all. Patient, calculated, unstoppable. Sleep came slowly, but my dreams were filled with strategy, opportunity, and precision. No fear, no sadness. Only clarity, only focus, only growth. Morning came. I watched as Lila and Harrington struggled to maintain their fragile authority. Every attempt to repair mistakes failed. Every word highlighted the tension. Their world, built on arrogance and betrayal, was collapsing around them. At lunch, Layla approached me once more, hands trembling, eyes wide. Ethan, it's worse. Harrington, he's completely unraveling. Investors are leaving. Projects are failing. I don't know what to do. I leaned back, calm, patient. And that's exactly how it should feel. This is the result of betrayal. This is the cost of choosing power over loyalty. This is reality. Accept it, feel it, learn from it, or crumble under it. Tears streaked her face. I never imagined. I didn't think. I made the wrong choice. No, I said quietly. You didn't. And now you see. And you will continue to see. Every day. Until your world crumbles completely. And I will continue to rise, unbroken, unstoppable, inevitable. That night, I sat at my window, looking out at the city lights, rain streaking the glass. The first signs of complete collapse were evident. Lila's panic, Harrington's fear, their failing control, all consequences of their choices. I whispered under my breath, patience, observation, precision. The fall has begun. They see the cracks, but cannot stop them. And I rise, unbroken, invincible, inevitable. I closed my notebook, my plan carefully documented. Lila and Harrington had built a fragile house on betrayal and arrogance, and now it was collapsing. I whispered again, they will feel every consequence. Every mistake. Every regret. And I will rise above it all. The final pieces were falling into place. Lila's panic had become desperation, Harrington's authority a distant memory, and the office, a kingdom built on arrogance and betrayal, was now a house of dust. I watched quietly, knowing this was the moment I had been preparing for since the night rain had almost claimed my life. That morning, Lila came to my desk, her face pale, hands shaking. "Ethan, it's all falling apart," she whispered. "Investors are leaving. Projects are failing. Harrington, he's gone. I don't know how to fix this." I looked at her calmly, my voice steady. "Fix it? No, Layla. You can't fix it. You chose this path. You chose power over love, comfort over loyalty. And now, you face the consequences of your choices." She looked at me, tears streaming down her cheeks. I never thought it would come to this. I didn't realize. Exactly, I said softly, leaning back in my chair. You never thought. That's the lesson. Betrayal comes with a price. You feel it now, fully, and there's nothing left for me to do. You wanted control, Lila. Now you see that control is an illusion when it's built on manipulation and deceit. She swallowed hard. "Ethan, please. I need you. I can't survive this without help." I shook my head slowly. "No. Your lesson is yours alone. My rise does not require your redemption. My strength does not depend on your apologies. Your regret is yours to endure." Later, Harrington was called into a board meeting. I watched from my office, observing quietly. Every word he spoke was met with doubt, every suggestion met with skepticism. His once dominant presence was diminished, his confidence eroded by the very mistakes he thought he could control. Afterward, Lila approached me in the hallway, her voice trembling. "Ethan, what happens now? Everything is collapsing. I can't. I don't know what to do." I looked at her, calm, collected. Now you watch the consequences unfold. Now you feel the weight of every choice. Now you learn that betrayal cannot be undone. And I move forward, unbroken, untouchable, inevitable. Her lips trembled. "Ethan, please. I can't survive this alone. I was wrong. No, I said firmly. No more words. No more pleas. You've had your chance. You made your choice. And now, you face it alone." She lowered her gaze, silent. I could see the realization in her eyes. She understood finally that the man she had betrayed was no longer someone to bargain with, no longer someone to manipulate, no longer someone she could command. That evening, I met Mark to discuss the next stage of expansion. "Ethan, your influence is unprecedented," he said. "People respect your competence, your strategy, your precision. You're no longer just surviving. You're commanding the game." "Yes," I said calmly. "Every move is deliberate, every decision calculated. Weakness has no place. And now, those who betrayed me see the cost of underestimating someone who refuses to remain powerless." He nodded. "You're not the same man you were. The fire is controlled, focused, lethal in its precision." "Good," I said quietly. "I had to evolve. I had to. And now, I am untouchable, at least compared to them." The following day, the office was chaos for Harrington and Lila. Lila tried to salvage what remained of her influence, Harrington attempted to assert authority, but both failed spectacularly. Every interaction was strained, every mistake magnified. The collapse I had been waiting for had arrived. During lunch, Lila approached me, her voice a trembling whisper. "Ethan, it's over. Everything is gone." Harrington, he's ruined. I don't know how to survive this. I leaned back, calm, observing. And that's exactly how it should feel. Betrayal comes with consequences. Power built on manipulation is fragile. Loyalty ignored is costly. You wanted security, Lila, and now you see how fragile it really was. Tears streamed down her face. I can't believe. I never imagined. I was wrong. Yes, I said softly. You were wrong. And now you know. Every day, you will feel it. Every decision you made will echo through your life. And I will continue to rise, untouchable, unstoppable, inevitable. Later that afternoon, I watched as Harrington attempted a presentation to salvage his reputation. Investors questioned his judgment, employees whispered, and his once commanding presence crumbled further. Lila's attempts to intervene only highlighted the chaos. Every mistake, every hesitation, every trembling gesture reinforced the truth: their world was collapsing, and I stood above it all. After work, I returned to my apartment and reviewed my notes. Every step, every strategy, every calculated move had led to this moment. Lila and Harrington had built a fragile empire on betrayal and arrogance, and now it was gone. Their collapse was complete. A text from Lila appeared on my phone. Ethan, please. I was wrong. I need you. I can't survive this. I stared at it, then set the phone down without replying. Regret had arrived too late. I wouldn't intervene. I wouldn't save her. The lesson was hers to endure fully. I whispered into the night, their collapse is inevitable. Regret comes too late. I've survived betrayal, survived death, and now I rise above it all. Patient, calculated, unstoppable. Sleep came slowly, but my dreams were filled with clarity, strategy, and vision. I no longer feared betrayal. I no longer feared loss. I was reborn. I was untouchable. I was complete. The next morning, I walked through the emptied halls of the office. Employees whispered about the chaos, investors withdrew support, and Lila's presence was reduced to quiet, fearful movements. Harrington avoided my gaze, too aware of his failings to attempt confrontation. Their empire, built on deceit, was nothing more than ashes at my feet. At lunch, I met with Mark. Ethan, this is remarkable. You've turned the tables entirely. Your influence, your strategy, it's absolute. They are powerless to stop you. Yes, I said quietly. Power is not about manipulation or fear. It is about preparation, patience, and precision. I have survived, I have adapted, and I have risen. And now, they see what it means to betray someone who refuses to remain weak. Mark smiled. You're not the same man you were. You've become unstoppable. Good, I said softly. I had to become this man. I had no choice. And now, I am reborn, in every sense. Free from betrayal, from weakness, from dependency. Untouchable. Unshakable. Unstoppable. That evening, I walked home through the rain, the same streets where betrayal had first broken me, where death had nearly claimed me. I stopped and looked at the wet asphalt, memories sharp and vivid. The betrayal, the pain, the anger, they were no longer wounds. They were fuel. They had forged me into something stronger, sharper, unstoppable. I whispered into the rain, this is my rebirth. The lessons of betrayal have been learned. The consequences have been delivered. I stand above it all, untouchable, inevitable, complete. At home, I closed my notebook, the record of every plan, every observation, every calculated move. Lila and Harrington's world had fallen apart. Karma had arrived in full measure, and I I was the one who had endured, survived, and risen. I sent no reply to Lila's desperate messages. I didn't need to. The silence was my final statement. The quiet justice, the inevitable consequence of betrayal, had been delivered. I whispered again into the night, I am reborn. I am complete. I am free. And I rise above it all.